Welcome to Sort of the Story. I'm Janey.
I'm Max. We're here to tell you some stories.
I was proud of us for a second. I forgot.
You got so overwhelmed with our success that you,
I ruined it. I'm like, wow, we managed to jump out of the plane correctly. And then I just didn't pull the parachute.
You also didn't tell me that you were starting to record. You were just like, hello. I was like, okay. Oh, I'm in. Okay.
I assumed when I said, okay, let's start, that you were watching me press record.
Nope.
All right, well, we're doing great, if anybody wants to know. This is the podcast where we tell each other stories that we read that week.
And also, you're here.
Welcome.
We're glad you're here.
Yeah, guys, episode 31.
Yeah.
We're halfway to 90.
No, we're halfway to
Oh my god.
62.
Hold on, 90. What is the opposite of cubed?
A third? That's also not the opposite of cubed.
What's the opposite of cubed? Should we just quit?
No.
Should this be the last episode? Oh, man. Okay, so the big news. We have a Goodreads now. I'm going to announce that everywhere. So by now you should already know, but we have a Goodreads. All of our books are on there. We're so professional.
Yeah, or something.
Or sort of. Sort of. Professionals.
Yeah, that was all you, dude. You did great.
Yeah!
It looks good as hell.
So yeah, guys, if you want to follow that, it's Sort of the Story. All one word, just like all of our other social media.
Mm-hmm. It's also on our link tree. So you can check it out there.
All right, so Max, you're going first.
I am going first.
You want to just jump right in?
I do want to jump right in.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm excited for you. Let's go.
Woo! All right, Janey.
Okay, Max.
So my story today comes from a collection of Yiddish folktales called Yiddish Folktales.
Whoa!
It is edited by Beatrice Silverman Weinreich and translated by Leonard Wolf. This book was super fun. I spent like 3 hours that I was supposed to be preparing for the podcast reading a bunch of different stories from this. And the really fascinating thing about it was there were so many crossovers with other folktale books that I've read. There's a story in here that is a variation on the pomegranates story that I just told a couple weeks ago. We talked about Skin as White as Snow and as red as blood. Yeah. I talked about the pomegranate story from that. There's a variation on that in here with pumpkins. There's a variation of the story The Master Thief, which I told before in here, which was Haitian and French. Apparently is also Yiddish.
I'm imagining, the version of White as Snow and Red as Blood with pumpkins, which is like orange as oranges and gooey as the inside of a pumpkin.
With a spooky face, like a jack-o'-lantern.
That's what I want my kid to look like.
Which was really cool, because I was reading a bunch of these stories, and a bunch of them had a lot of crossovers with, especially a lot of like the European Mediterranean stories that we've read before, as well as a bunch of stories from immigrant groups in the US who came here from overseas, either from Europe and Asia or Africa. There are also a lot of crossovers with Russian stories and the Romanian stories that I've read. So it's really cool. I mean, it makes sense because
the Russian-Romanian one for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Makes a lot of sense why there would be a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
It's more surprising the French and Haitian ones for me is a little more surprising, but I guess all of them are coming from Europe, so.
Yeah. The other really cool thing about this collection is that this is pulled together from a bunch of different collection projects for folktales that were started in the 1920s. So in the 1920s, there was a huge initiative to try and preserve Jewish culture and preserve their stories. So people would go around collecting stories, and not even necessarily as a profession, just as like a social initiative kind of thing. So we have all of these records from 1925, and if you remember things about 1925 as a time, that was right in like World War I, World War II. So a lot of these stories come from before
World War II was the 40s, though.
Yeah, this spans from from 1900 to 1938. I think they said was the last one. But they started collecting all of these around that time, which is really amazing. They have all these stories that have started being collected, and then the collections were lost over the course of World War II, and then have since been rediscovered and put into all of these collections that most of them are available online, of Jewish folktales that were gathered at the beginning of the 20th century and are now made available again today. And one of the things that they talked about, one of the things that they talked about was that the stories that they reclaimed, some of them were written in by scholars in notebooks and things like that. But some of them were just like scrawled in the margins of like a kid's homework or something like that.
Jeez.
Which is really cool. It's really amazing. So this is a really, really amazing book. It has so many stories in it, and so many of them have so much crossover with other folktales. I think if you wanted to get a primer on just folktales, and especially the folktale codifying system that I can never remember the name of, what's it called?
The Arns Thompson Uther?
Yes, the Arns Thompson Uther. This has every type in it, basically. So this is a really great, like, if you're looking for a wide variety of folktales, this is a great addition.
That's fantastic. Also, this is a really cool cover.
Yes.
I'm excited for you to be able to see this cover on our Instagram, because this is a beautiful painting.
Yeah, so this book is just great. Yiddish Folktales, edited by Beatrice Silverman Weinreich and translated by Leonard Wolf.
Awesome.
So, from this collection, the story that I'm telling this week is called The Merchant's Son and the Demons.
Oh, yes!
Yeah, I'm just going to go right into it. So, once upon a time, there was a very, very wealthy merchant, and he had a son, the merchant's son.
Oh!
From the title.
Nice.
The old merchant, eventually grew old, and he knew that he was going to die. And on his deathbed, he called his son to him and he said, "My son, I have left you everything that I have. You have enough to be wealthy and taken care of for your entire life. I have only one request for you before I leave this mortal coil. Never ever, for your whole life, go on a voyage on the sea."
Oh.
That's literally the one thing that I ask of you.
Dad, why are you being so cryptic? What? Cryptic?
Why are you being a cryptid?
Hey,
Mothman,
Dad, why are you being Mothman? Mothman notoriously hates the sea.
And then the merchant passes away and leaves his son with wealth and homes and a thriving business. Over the years, the son takes a wife. He and his wife have a son. They are living a happy and wonderful life. And eventually he misses his father, but he sort of forgets his promise. A letter arrives for him across the sea, and it says, "Hello, I owed your father a bunch of money, and now I'm ready to pay up, but I just found out your dad's dead. So, by rights, this money belongs to you.
Hell yeah.
Come get this money. Come to me and get this money."
No, you come here. You owe my dad a debt. I'm not going to you.
But it was a massive sum of money. A massive sum of mummies.
He's like, "Come over here and eat these mummies."
You want some sarcophagi?
We're Victorian. Oh, the sarcophagi! Should we start a band?
Yes.
Oh my god!
Mummy and the sarcophagi. So, but this is a massive sum of money. This is a life-changing amount of money, even for a man as wealthy as the merchant's son. So immediately he packs up all of his things, he leaves his wife and child, and he jumps on a boat to cross the sea to get this massive sum of money.
Mm-hmm.
The boat has barely left port when it is beset by a colossal storm. And immediately the merchant's son is like, "Oh, fuck.
I told my dad."
I just remembered about that, literally the one promise that I made to him on his deathbed, that I wouldn't go to sea, and now I'm at sea. Shucks. And this massive storm is raging, and the ship starts to sink into the ocean, and the son is panicking so much that he fully passes out. He falls asleep on the ship, just falls unconscious. And in his state of unconsciousness...
Sir, this is not the time to pass out.
In his state of unconsciousness, his father comes to him and says, "You tried super hard to keep your promise, I can tell, because literally the first opportunity you had to get onto a ship, you got onto a ship. Guess I just wasted my final breaths on making a request of you that you didn't even try to do." And the son is like, "I'm sorry." And he like cries and cries. And his dad is like, "Fine, it's okay. Here's what's going to happen. When you come to, you're going to be holding on to a piece of driftwood, right? Just keep holding on to that driftwood. Eventually you'll come to a shore. And once you come to the shore, get off the driftwood, swim to shore, and then an eagle is going to pick you up. And you just go where that eagle takes you, basically, and then you'll be fine."
You know what, son? Just go where the eagle takes you. That classic old family saying we have?
Our family motto, "Go where the eagle takes you."
Which is usually said by the family model, your cousin Marie. You know, the hot
She's
one.
so successful.
Your cousin Victoria.
Also, though, So he, comes to, he's on a piece of driftwood and he drifts close to shore and he hears the sounds of animals on the shore. And so that's how he knows that he's getting close to land.
Yeah.
And then an eagle, a massive eagle, swoops down and picks him up and soars above forests and rivers and plains with him, like hundreds and hundreds of miles. And the whole time he's looking down and he's like, if I were to fall, every bone in my body would be crushed. I would be so dead if I fell down right now.
Where if he was following his father's instructions, he'd be saying, this is fine! I'm fine with this!
His father being like, just go where the eagle takes you, as though he had a choice.
Yeah,
what's he gonna do?
Didn't come up and ask for permission.
He's not like, where to, son? He's like, this eagle is taking him wherever the eagle is going. He is not gonna fight an eagle like a mile off the ground. That's a dumb move.
Yeah.
So eventually the eagle starts to slow down and descend closer to the earth, and finally it drops the man safely in the middle of a forest. And the man gathers himself. He's like, oh my god, I could have died so bad. Also, I really need to remember to be better about promises because God, that was bad. Okay. Yeah. So he gathers himself together and then he hears voices. He hears the voices of children reciting their lessons in their cheder, which is the schoolroom in like a Jewish school. He follows the voices until he sees a group of people. The Melamed, the teacher, is in the middle of a ring of students who are all reciting with him. And the merchant's son goes up to the teacher, greets him very politely, shakes his hand, introduces himself, and he's like, so where am I? And the teacher's like, oh, you're in the land of demons.
And then all of the kids start to smile, and their faces start to transform, melt away.
Well, yeah, so in the notes for this story, it actually says that the land of demons looks exactly like any other town.
Okay.
It's just full of demons, but the demons look like people, so you can't tell.
Oh, so he's in Detroit.
It feels very M. Night Shyamalanian to be like... Honestly, stuck the landing on that one.
You did. Really I'm like, fine. Just fine. I'm gonna go where the eagle takes me on that pronunciation.
Shyamalanian. It, just oh, it's a town like any other, except everyone is demons, but you can't tell.
But trust us, they are. All the kids are holding knives.
So the merchant son is like, I'm in the land of... but you all look normal. And they're like, oh no, we're demons. We're like demon students.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. And so the son is like, what's going to happen to me? And the teacher's like, oh, a demon is going to get you and you're going to die. Okay. And the son bursts into tears again. And he's like, I really don't want to be gotten by a demon and then killed. And the teacher is like, well, this is a grown man who's being a real baby about this. I'm going to take, I'll take care of you. And so he takes the merchant's son in and hides him away.
Aww.
And protects him from, all the demons that are roaming around. And it stays this way for several days. The merchant's son is safe in hiding and everything. But eventually he decides that he wants to get out, go for a walk, stretch his legs. And so he just gets up and walks out of the room that he is in. And he takes 2 steps out the door and a bunch of demons just descend on him.
I mean, this guy is not a... He's not like a brave
He's not
protagonist.
A clever protagonist, no. And these demons that descend on him are led by Ashmedai, who is the king of demons.
Sure.
In Jewish, demonology, Ashmedai is the king of demons. He is also, in Christian demonology, the demon of lust, in terms of the sins.
Can we find him really quick?
Yes.
So we're looking at the illustration. He's a 4-headed demon. In a way, he looks a little bit like the seraphim, how the seraphim are. I mean, he's a little bit different, but the faces on either side and stuff,
Yeah, he has the face of a bull and also the face of a ram and also the face of a dragon. And then he has bat wings and he has a human face that's kind of classic devil-y. And then he has a big crown and he has lion paws and also 1 duck foot.
And that's the evil part.
Yeah.
Every other thing about him is a good guy.
Yeah, and he has a big, between 1 and 3 long, worm or snake tails.
Yeah, this is pretty wild.
He's got a lot going on.
He does have a lot going on.
So this is Ashmedai or Asmodeus.
Okay.
And like I said, King of Devils, King of Hell.
Asmodeus.
Asmodeus? It's probably
Asmodeus. Oh my god, it's totally Asmodeus.
So, King of Hell, like, this guy takes 2 steps out of the front door, and the King of Hell and a horde of demons just appear in front of him, and they're like, hey! And he's like, fuck!
Whoops.
And Ashmedai says, and who may you be? And the merchant's son says, a poor man who has been driven by misfortune into your country. And Ashmodeus says, a mortal, eh? A mortal, your kind and my kind are not the best of friends. The question is, shall I kill you now or later?
Oh, later, definitely later.
And the merchant's son trembles in fear. And Ashmodeus, massive, glowing red eyes, slavering maw and everything, just like towering over the merchant's son. And the merchant's son is fully shitting his pants. He's like, this guy's gonna eat me?
Not if I'm covered in my own shit. And that's called self-defense.
And Ashmodeus looks at him as he's like terrified in front of him, and he goes, well, you seem like a likely sort. In your case, I think I'll make an exception. I'm going to need someone to take charge here when I go off to fight my new war.
What?
So Ashmodeus sees this guy, like, fully, like, chihuahua cowering in fear in front of him.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I need a babysitter for the kingdom of hell while I'm off fighting in my holy and hellish war. So this guy's as good as anyone. It's not like he's gonna, like, fuck around on me because he's terrified of me.
It's not like he's gonna faint anytime he's uncomfortable. His, like, feet get wet and then he just passes out until an eagle carries him to hell. Like, I disagree with Asmodeus. We need to look at some references for this guy. Yeah. Like, I don't think so, Asmodeus. There's other candidates.
So Ashmedai takes the merchant's son back to Ashmedai's palace, and he sort of shows him the ropes. He introduces him to the staff and everything. He takes a couple weeks to prepare for his war, sharpen his duck claw and everything like that, or something. And
they don't have nails on them, do they?
Don't they?
I don't think ducks have talons.
Don't they have little, like, bone hooks at the end of their feet?
I don't think so. Guys, if you're a duck, write us in with your little clicky clacky.
I thought you were going to say, if you're a duck scientist.
Nope.
If you're a duck, use your little bone claws to email us.
To tell us send us feet pics, nothing weird.
I just watched X-Men Origins Wolverine with our friends, and I'm now picturing a duck with, like, Wolverine bone claws going out of its feet.
Howard the Duck is a Marvel character, yeah? It's him, but he has Wolverine's terrible curse. Guys,
excellent.
Go read the Mockingbird series. Howard the Duck shows up in that, and it's wild. It's good.
Weird.
Mockingbird. Go read it right now. Do it.
So over the weeks that Ashmedai is preparing for his war, he's getting everything ready, and he's hanging out with the merchant's son all the time. And they become kind of friends. Ashmedai, like, really likes this guy. He thinks he's hilarious, and they just, like, hang out, and they're, like, bros for a couple weeks.
They're the Sakhafa guys.
Yeah. It really feels like in, like, The Princess Bride, like, the Dread Pirate Roberts and Wesley, how they have their, like, weird thing where it's like, I'm gonna kill you tomorrow, but until then, you want a drink?
Yeah.
So, for, like, weeks, they just hang out, and Ashmedai is like, this guy fucking rocks. I love him. So, finally, Ashmedai is ready to go off on his war, and he hands over the keys to his hell palace.
Jesus, that's
to the
lot of
son.
trust.
Yeah, he has this massive iron loop of keys with all of these iron keys of different sizes all around it. And he hands it over to the merchant's son, and he says, here are all the keys to everywhere. You can go anywhere in the kingdom of hell that you want. Literally, though, there is one key on here. It's a teeny tiny little iron key, and it opens the door at the end of that hallway. Don't do it. Don't open that door. It is forbidden. Literally everywhere else you can go. You are the interim king of hell. Just do not go in that room.
Okay.
Spoilers.
Okay. I'm getting excited. I'm hoping it's going where I think it's going.
And Ashmedai leaves, and the merchant son looks around the castle for a long time. It is opulent. It is all, like, gold and pearls and everything he's ever wanted. He can ask for any food and it'll appear before him. All the demons love him, so he's just hanging out with these demons all the time. But he starts to think about the door at the end of the hall. And days pass, and he keeps thinking about the door at the end of the hall. And he does rounds, to make sure that everything's in order in the castle. Nothing needs, cleaning, or nothing's broken or anything like that. And every time he passes this door, he thinks about it harder and harder. Until a few days have passed, and he starts thinking that as he walks past this door, he starts thinking that he can almost hear the sound of the key turning in the lock.
Ooh.
He's like, oh, it would be so easy to just open the door, see what's inside, and then close it really quickly, And nobody would even know. Nobody would even know.
Why not? Why would you think that? You're in hell.
This imaginary sound of the key turning in the lock to this door he hears it in his footsteps. He hears it in his sleep. He can't stop thinking about this door. And finally, a week has passed since Ashmedai left, and the merchant son can't wait anymore. And so he does his rounds. He looks around. He makes sure nobody is looking. And then he slips the tiny iron key into the keyhole of this door at the end of the hallway. And he goes to turn the key, but first he presses his ear up against the door. And he hears something. And he doesn't hear the clicking of the key in the lock. He hears the most beautiful sound he's ever heard of a woman singing. And he listens for a few moments and is just instantly hypnotized by this woman who's singing more beautifully than anything he's ever heard or imagined in his entire life. And almost in a trance, he turns the key in the lock and opens the door. And as soon as he opens the door, his eyes lock on the most beautiful woman he's ever seen. Just gorgeous, like impossibly inhumanly beautiful woman who is singing an inhumanly beautiful song.
Okay.
And their eyes meet, and she runs at him.
Oh no.
She throws her arms around his neck and kisses him.
Okay. All right.
And he's like, oh, sick. This is great.
I was really hoping that he was going to open it and it was a blood room.
I know.
I wanted another blood room story so bad.
Juti out on the blood room. I knew it was going to come to that, but
dangle a blood room in front of me and then yank it away. Apparently it's a hot lady who's horny for some reason.
So she throws her arms around him. She kisses him. And he's like, whoa, what? And before he can even get his bearings, a roar of flames erupts behind him, and he hears the howling of Ashmedai behind him, and he goes, you had one job! Ashmedai comes in his towering, hellish glory, just flames and fully kitted out in his battle armor and bristling with spikes and swords and everything. He has, demons, smaller demons crawling all over him.
Okay, no thank you.
And, he's just this massive, hell incarnate.
Yeah.
Pops out of the earth behind him. And he's like, dude, what the fuck? You literally...
I thought we were bros.
And the merchant's son, I assume, fully shits his pants. Honestly, we should start a GoFundMe to get this man diapers. So... Ashmedai is like, okay, well, you had one rule and you couldn't follow it, so now you fucking die. That's
fair.
And the woman says, no, Daddy, no!
Oh.
She is Ashmedai's daughter.
Yeah!
And...
this would be a great Wattpad title.
Yep.
Ashmedai's daughter.
And she throws herself between the merchant's son and Ashmedai and says, Father, no, you can't kill him. We're gonna get married. And the merchant's son is like, what? Okay. So immediately Ashmedai turns off the flames and is like, okay, well, as long as you're making an honest woman of her, I guess I have no complaints.
Is that a thing in hell?
I guess. So the merchant's son and Ashmedai's daughter are wed. They get married, they have a huge party. Ashmedai is like, hey, you're a good guy, I really think you're a good fit for my daughter.
I'm imagining Ashmedai, they're doing all this in a backyard grilling scenario, and he's wearing an apron that says like sexy bitch or kiss the chef or something.
Yes.
He's flipping burgers that are just human babies. You're not so bad.
You're a good guy.
Call me Dad Madai. Ashmedad.
Call me Ashmedad.
Call me Ashmedad should have been how Moby Dick started. Change my mind.
So the merchant's son is married to Ashmedai's daughter, and they're very happy. They are completely in love. He helps Ashmedai take care of Hel and everything. She's the most beautiful thing that he's ever laid eyes on every day.
She's also not locked in a room anymore, which is nice.
That was a whole weird thing that, like, wasn't addressed. Like, why was she locked in there? Did he just not want her to meet the merchant's son, or is she always in there? Anyways, every day he wakes up next to her. She's the most beautiful thing he's ever seen in his life. They're super happy. All of his demon friends hang out with him. Less than a year after they're married, they have a son. His name is Shloima, and he is a perfect little baby. They are so happy with their little family.
Mm-hmm.
And the story makes a point to say that when Shloima is about 2, Ashmedai's daughter and the merchant's son are playing with Shloima, just playing with toys with him on the ground, which is just the cutest thing.
It is really cute.
I love it. And the merchant's son he kind of looks off into the middle distance and lets out a heavy sigh. And Ashmedai's daughter is like, "What's wrong?" And he's like, "Well, before I came here, I had a wife and a child back home."
I forgot he was already married.
I know. He's like, "I had a wife and a child back home, and I am so happy here, but I just worry they don't know where I am. And I miss them. I would love to be able to, assuage their fears that I'm okay and to be able to see them again." And Ashmedai's daughter says, "That's fair. You had a family before you came here and you deserve to be able to go see them."
Okay.
And she says, "Look, I have one of my handmaidens," and there's like an older demoness that's always with her. She's like, "My handmaiden can take you back home and you can see them. I only have one request, and it's that you don't spend more than 3 months there."
Okay, that's fair.
Super fair request. And he's like, "No, like, I'm gonna come back. Like, this is my family too. I just want to go see them and make sure that they're okay." And she's like, "That's good. I'm glad that you want to take care of them."
Okay, but he doesn't know how to follow instructions. I'm worried.
So this older demoness handmaiden takes him. She unfurls massive bat wings and she flies him up out of hell.
Does. Played by Helen Mirren.
She flies him up out of like the land of demons, and a few hours later, they have flown far, far away back to his home country. And he goes to see his wife and his son, and they are overjoyed to see him. They are so happy, and he embraces them, and he, helps them with everything, and he says hello to his family again and everything, and he is so happy to be back. They're so happy to have him back, and
does he tell them?
I don't know. It doesn't say whether he tells them.
Okay.
It doesn't say whether he tells them at all, but he's back and he's so happy. And then 3 months go by and he doesn't go back to hell.
Of course he doesn't, because he's fucking terrible at everything.
Following directions.
He's bad at literally every single thing.
Yeah. So 3 months goes by and he doesn't go back to hell. After the 3 months pass, he starts having dreams where demons appear to him and they bring him letters from his wife in hell. And the letters say, "You disregard your promise at your own peril." So,
I'm on her side.
Also, we're past the 3 month period. She's like, "Look, you promised, please come back to hell, like you have a family here and everything." And he ignores these dreams. He does not care. Weeks pass and he ignores these dreams, and the letters keep getting angrier and angrier. And she's like, you promised you would come back. It's been almost 4 months now, and you belong here. You have a family here. And he keeps ignoring it, and he doesn't say anything to anyone. He just keeps living his life with his family back home.
What the fuck?
And one night, his son, who, I don't know how demons age, but is like of a talking age at this point.
Yeah.
Shloima appears to him in a dream, and he says, "Father, you have to run.
Oh.
Mother is at the town gates with a horde of demons, and she's going to destroy the town with you inside. You have to get out. Take your family and go." And the merchant son wakes up from this dream, and he's in a cold sweat. He runs to the house of the rabbi, and he explains everything. He tells him everything that happened.
There's not enough time! She's at the gate now!
And the rabbi calls a rabbinical court to decide what to do about this.
Guys, she's at the gate now!
And the rabbinical court declares that a mortal and a demoness cannot marry. It is forbidden. It is impossible for a mortal and a demon to marry.
Okay, well,
as such,
do we have news for you?
Yeah, as such, Ashmedai's daughter has to grant the merchant's son a divorce. So they meet her at the gates, and the rabbi, who has balls of steel, explains to her that she has to give her husband a divorce because she's a demoness and he's immortal, and it is not a true marriage.
Bullshit. Bullshit. They have a baby together. They spent a whole year together. This seems shady.
Yeah. Ashmedai's daughter is heartbroken.
Yeah.
But she says, very well, what must be, must be. I will give him the divorce, but I want one thing before we part. I want to give him one last kiss.
Yeah, she does.
And the court grants her request. They say...
Yeah, we would love to watch that. I mean, yes, absolutely, you can do that.
The court grants her request. The son steps up and leans forward across the town. No, the merchant's son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, Shlomo's fine. The merchant's son steps forward to her at the town gates, leans in for a kiss. She grabs him by the throat.
Yeah, she does.
And throttles him to death.
Yeah, she does, and then drags his ass back to hell.
And she screams, if I can't have him, she can't have him.
No.
And she disappears. And that's the end of the story.
Okay, I love the story up until that. That's a sexist, fucking misogynistic message to end with.
Yes.
That's not why she did it.
Yeah.
Just gonna go ahead and say, it's not jealousy for the other woman. It's being abandoned by the father of her baby.
Yeah, exactly. Because she also sent him back. She was like, yeah, it's fair for you to have a family and have attachments back home.
And they did this while both, like, on the floor playing with their son. They had a happy marriage.
Exactly.
Also, before he came up, she was obviously in an abusive situation, and she felt very attached to him this way. He clearly was, like, reaping the benefits of being, like, a son-in-law to the king of hell. Like... Mm-hmm. This guy fucking sucks, and that ending is bullshit. Take that out. She does not feel jealousy for the other woman.
She just throttles him to death, and
because he's like, a shitty husband.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the end of the story. Anyways, I
love her.
Love her. I know that this is supposed to be a story about like, oh, you can't trust demons.
No.
But like,
you can't trust men.
What a beautiful, happy family they had. Like,
no, the moral of this story is you can't trust fucking men.
Yeah. So, this story was collected from Noyak Fishman in Poland in 1930. It is available through the Vilna Ethnography Commission archive. And one of the notes that Beatrice Silverman Weinreich made about this story is that it plays into the medieval idea that, quote, the need of spirits to find completion in the body of man, which is to say that, like, demons and spirits, their driving motivation is to be acknowledged or to mess with the plans of humans. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't have a life outside of fucking with human people.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but also...
I bet they would love printmaking.
What?
I just think they would like printmaking. I think if they wanted another hobby outside of, like, the lives of man, which is a little pathetic.
Yeah. I should pick up knitting.
And he wouldn't even need needles. He could just use his claws.
Yeah, he could just use his little duck paw.
I would like to be that girl's stepmom.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, Ashmedai is hot. Also, this is a secondhand book that I got through Bookshop. Mm-hmm. And 2 of the pages were stuck together when I was skimming it to see if it was a good story to tell. So it went straight from Ashmedai sort of letting the merchant's son, he was like, hey, you can come babysit my castle for me. And then it skipped 2 pages to like the reverse page because they were stuck together. And it was like, and then Ashmedai's daughter said, if I can't have him, she can't have him. But I didn't read the word daughter. So I thought it was just, Ashmedai was like, yeah, you can come with me. And nobody else can have you because I love you forever.
Yeah.
Which is just...
a better story.
Yeah, good bromance. Love it.
Big fan, but he's still wearing his apron that says sexy bitch. Hot as hell. Oh, that's what it says.
So good.
Oh, do I have to do an Ashmedai illustration where he's wearing an apron that says hot as hell? Like a grill dad, sort of? Oh my god!
Or like, I like my vengeance well done. As an apron.
Oh, so good. So good.
Ashmedai, King of Hell in our hearts. I know that this is basically Satan, so I feel bad. Again, this is one of those places where this podcast kind of trots the line between religion and storytelling. And I certainly don't mean to say that devils are good or that everyone should be on the side of demons. But these characters are... This story is very clearly written by someone who thought that the merchant's son was the good guy, and he very much isn't.
He very much is not the good guy.
What about all that money? It's still across the ocean.
It really doesn't explain whether or not this was a trap. And also how his dad knew. Like, did his dad... I bet Ashmedai knew his father.
Maybe.
That had to have been it.
Yeah, it's just not explained. Like, it almost feels like two different stories, like, smashed together.
It also,
a little bit.
Because also, that eagle had to have been sent from hell to take him, because otherwise, do eagles just go to hell?
Mm.
Do all eagles go to hell?
All dogs go to heaven, all eagles go to hell.
Yeah, guys, anyways. There's so many ideas for shirts here.
Yeah. Also, if you liked this story and you also like D&D, listen to Escape from the Bloodkeep through Dimension 20, because it's good. It's a good little campaign about a bunch of villains in hell, and they're all real sweet.
Yeah. I had somebody recently, I was retelling a Greek myth, and I started to realize I have to, and I've never had to do this before, but I'm learning every day on TikTok that I'm going to offend literally everyone and no one. No matter what I say, it's going to offend everyone. But I've had to start to differentiate with, I am not making any sort of comment on religion. I am simply reading stories and commenting on the stories. And it was because I'm not a fan of Athena. And this girl was like, I'm a pagan and I'm really uncomfortable with how you talk about Athena. And she's like, you know, technically you're not wrong, but like these stories were written by men, so they're skewed. And I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right. I talk about this all the time. Our only sources are pretty wealthy men who are writing female goddesses. It's not fair. I'm not talking about the religion, though. I'm talking about the stories that we have available. Yeah. So my opinion isn't going to change because you feel uncomfortable about it as a practicing Hellenist. Like, yeah, I'm really sorry, but you don't have to listen to my content because I'm not talking about the religion. Mm-hmm. And that's how I feel about when we talk about Christianity, too, is we're not talking about people who study the religion. We're not talking about people who believe this or their beliefs. We are literally reading stories. And then all we are doing is telling those stories. Yeah, because this story kicks ass. I love this story. It's such a fun story. I almost cried at the end when I was reading this story. I was like, no. Good for her. I feel so bad for Shlomo also. I know. What happens to him? He was such a good son at the end. I know. I also love that the demons are super well adjusted and like emotionally mature, and all of the humans are like, I know I made a promise, but what if I didn't? La, 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 la. I'm gonna like skip back home in my shit-filled pants. Everyone loves me in my poopy pants. Yeah. I also, this is a bummer, but I feel like it has to be mentioned. The part where the teacher hides the merchant's son and everything, and then as soon as he gets out, he is caught by demons. I think that I would be remiss if I didn't mention the, like, Holocaust parallels with that. The obvious parallels to that story. Except that you said that this was 1930. 1930? I don't know if they had started. I know, but but also it's almost like it's so specific. I thought the same thing. I was thinking of specifically, I was like, God, he can't stay hidden. Like, why is he leaving? Because, of course, your brain goes to, like, so many people stayed hidden for years. Yeah. So many families stayed hidden for years and years. And this fucker is like, I gotta stretch my legs. And I'm like, well, do you not remember where you are, you goddamn... Yeah. What? But also, like, that portion of the story you could take out and still have almost the same story where he could just land in the... It makes more sense to him to just land and immediately be descended on by demons. Yeah. It doesn't make sense that he has to go to a school first full of children. Yeah. It's just, I think it's, I would be remiss if I didn't point out the parallels. That alone, too, it's so, now that you're saying it, there's something really, really sad about, I wonder if that part was added later. Because doesn't it seem like a weird addition? Because it does stand out, but also he walks in, they look like everybody else. They don't look like demons. That's a weird thing to say, like, they don't look like demons. Ashmedai looks like a demon. Yeah. They don't. She even looks like a demon because she looks otherworldly beautiful. All of the kids look normal. The teacher looks normal and is like, no, we're all demons. And then the teacher has to be like, okay, I'll go ahead and hide you. And it's like, you don't have to do that. Yeah. And also, what are you teaching these kids? You know, like, that's a bummer. That does seem like it was an added thing. That's a pretty powerful image if they had stayed with that, but instead we gotta follow this idiot. Yeah, making fucking horrible decisions left and right. Yeah, this erotic mobile game of falling in love with the King of Hell's daughter. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot going on in this story, and I really like it. I really love, we don't usually get a lot of folktales where you have, like,
emotional maturity happening or like a blended family structure or anything like that. And it was just really cool to me that...
Yeah, and in a very modern sense, there is, and this explains too when this story was written versus the year that we two women are telling, telling and hearing this story, and it makes sense why we are very, very much on her side. At the end, there's something really therapeutic about a woman who was abandoned and like fucked over and is left with a child that this guy has no interest in taking any responsibility for, even though he promised that he would. It's really therapeutic for her to be like, cool, well now, snap, you're dead and you're coming back with me to hell. Like, good.
Yep.
Not to be a dad, but to be like, I don't know, a footstool. We're going to turn you into a chair.
Yeah. You're...
And Aphrodite's going to put his ass on you every day.
Toops, toops, boops. That's from a Key and Peele sketch.
Fantastic. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I know my anger makes it seem like I didn't enjoy that. I loved that.
I'm angry about it because I enjoyed it so much.
No, I'm passionate about that story.
Yeah.
What a cool book.
Yeah, this book is rad. Everyone should buy this book. Yiddish Folktales, edited by Beatrice Silverman Weinreich and translated by Leonard Wolf.
And we will put it on the Goodreads.
Mm-hmm.
Bow, 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 bow.
All right, Janey.
Okay.
You ready for your story?
Yeah. You want to take a quick break?
I do.
Maybe go swallow some ice cubes?
Oh my god, it's so hot in here. It's gotta be like 83.
Yeah, guys, we will be right back.
We're living in 12 Angry Men right now.
We're living in hell. There's no hot king coming here to yell at me. Okay, bye! Okay, Max.
Okay, Janey.
Max, okay. Okay, so I got this book called Roald Dahl's Book of Ghost Stories. For obvious reasons. I don't have to explain myself to you. Basically, Roald Dahl had an idea. He wanted to make an anthology TV series of ghost stories. He was like, I love ghost stories. The spookier, the better. I think a lot of Americans also like ghost stories. He wasn't American, but he was like, I bet a lot of Americans would like it. We could pitch this to Hollywood, Mr. Hollywood, and we can make this like really successful TV series. And he pitched it to Eddie Knopf, the brother of Alfred Knopf. I'm saying Knopf.
I think it's
Knopf.
Knopf.
The problem is most last names that are like German that have like a KN, they pronounce the K, I think.
Mm.
But the publishing house, Alfred Knopf, will say, because that's a lot, this feels better to say Knopf. Knopf. Also, Alfred Knopf is his old friend and is an American publisher. So he's like, hey, your brother Eddie works in like the film industry. What about this? So he pitches it to Eddie. Eddie's like, yes. Okay, you gather up all the ghost stories that you want to use. Then you'll write the pilot episode. And then we'll film it. And then we'll pitch it. So they were really excited. So then he writes in his introduction, Roald Dahl does the introduction, and he says he went to the library and was like, okay, he came back with stacks on stacks on stacks of books. His whole entire apartment was just filled with these big books and stuff like that. And he was like, I'm ready to be scared. All the famous writers have written ghost stories. Like, everybody's done it. And they were all terrible. He's like, oh no, these are awful. Oh no. He read like 200 and he's like, oh my god, I hate these so much. And like the big names in writings like that, they'd all tried. And he's like, this is the worst thing I've ever read. I couldn't even get through half of them. Like,
oh no.
They were so boring and so dumb. And like, I want to punch everyone in the head. Like, he was just so bothered by how bad the ghost stories were. And I was on his side the whole entire time. Okay? Because then he writes this. I'm gonna read from his intro. I think it's important so you know why I picked the story I did. Mm-hmm. He said, then suddenly a bright star flashed across the murky sky. I had found a good one. The end of it gave me shivers. It was called Harry by Rosemary Timperley. I read another 100 or so bad ones. Then I found a second good one. It was The Open Door by Mrs. Oliphant. After I had read altogether some 300 published stories, I had succeeded in discovering 7 good ones.
Oof.
The 7, including the 2 just mentioned by Rosemary Timperley and Mrs. Oliphant, were The Telephone by Mary Treadgold, Afterward by Edith Wharton, Spinster's Rest by Clemence Dane, and The 4:15 Express by Amelia B. Edwards. Do you notice a pattern?
All female writers.
All female writers. This blew Roald Dahl's little mind. I liked Roald Dahl up until I read this, just so you know. Hang on a second, I thought. What was going on here? Every single one of these stories was written by a woman! With an exclamation mark. What an extraordinary thing. With a feeling that I was perhaps making a rather remarkable literary discovery, I plowed on, and by golly, if the next good one wasn't also by a woman. It was Cynthia Asquith's God Grant That She Lie Still. I got rather excited. But alas, the next excellent one was by a man.
Womp womp.
It was Playmates by A.M. Barrage. And what a good one it was. Afterward, there followed a whole group of men. L.P. Hartley, Dickens, E.F. Benson, John Collier, and the rest. The men were catching up. At the end of this marathon reading session, I counted that I had read 749 ghost stories.
Oh.
I was completely dazed. I had the satisfaction of knowing that I had found 24 good ones and another 10 possibles for Eddie Knopf's television series. The male ghost story writers did eventually catch up with the females, but only just. Out of my best 24, the final score was 13 to the men and 11 to the women. All right, so it's a bummer that at the end of all of this, he found more good book stories by men than he did women.
Mm-hmm.
We also have to remember these are his opinions as the person who is collecting the stories, right? So
yeah,
it could have been anywhere else. Like if anyone else was doing this, it could have gone either way. Maybe there would be no women in there, right? The next part bums me out. These figures were intriguing, and I'll tell you why. Many people have been fascinated and perplexed by the failure of women to reach the top rank in two of the three major creative arts, music and painting. In the whole history, there has never been a woman musical composer anywhere near the top rank. There hasn't really been one in painting or sculpture either. The greatest woman painter was probably Popova, followed by two other Russians, Goncharova and Exter. There was also Mary Cassatt, Barbara Hepworth, and possibly Georgia O'Keeffe. But none of them could hold a candle to the huge mass of great male names in painting, from Dürer to Picasso. I was annoyed by that.
Fair.
We'll talk about why in a second. But to go back to the women as writers, for about 130 years they have been producing good novels, some even great ones. But they don't seem to be able to write plays or top-rate short stories. I don't think a woman has ever written a classic play. And as for short stories, no, not really. By this, I mean great short stories. He does talk about Shirley Jackson and how much of a boner he has for the lottery. And yet, and here is the interesting thing, ghost stories, at least the kind I am talking about, are short stories. And in that particular and very special category, the women run the men very close indeed, a lot closer even than in the novel, with the score at 13 to the men and 11 to the women. But it is the women who have written some of the very best ones. Again, that score was made by him. That's not a... He talks about it as if, like, oh my god, all of this scientific research by many, like, doctors and scientists in the field have come to this number. No, he read like 749 ghost stories in a short amount of time and was like, there are more men, but, like, women, good job, ladies.
Also, though, like, speaking with authority on being like, women have never written a play. It's like,
what the fuck?
No, you're wrong. Like, you don't have to, like, it should be obvious to you that women have written good plays because that just should be obvious. But also, if you don't know of any good plays by women and you want to make a point about it, try and find out if there are good plays about women rather than just declaring that there aren't any.
Maybe spend another weekend reading 749 plays.
Yeah, before you start talking shit, Roald Dahl.
So then,
you son of a bitch.
I'm gonna read this infuriated me. I was like, damn it. So I'm gonna read the last two paragraphs that I highlighted here, and then we can move on, but... He says, I have no doubts at all where women stand when it comes to one of the most important facets of all creative literature. What do you think he's talking about? When it comes to any literature, where does he think women outshine men?
Poetry? No.
I mean, of course, children's books.
Oh, god damn it.
I almost screamed.
Rolled, you son
and
of a bitch.
And he says, you may scream all you like. He might as well have said Janey. When you read that statement, and I do not say it because I sometimes write children's books myself. That's an understatement, Roald Dahl. I say it because I am convinced that they are one of the most important. Children's books must divert and entertain, just like adults' books do, but they do something else at the same time. They actually teach a child the habit of reading. They teach him to be literate, they teach him vocabulary, and nowadays they teach him that there can be better ways of passing the time than watching television. All this is true about children's books. There's a couple things I'm not a fan of. Teach Him. Not a fan of. Also, he goes on for the rest of this fucking thing. He talks about how women are so good at writing children's books and like, why could that be? And this is crazy, but also they're pretty good at writing ghost stories, almost as good as men are. Wild. Anyway, that's the thing. They are pretty good at novels. They are better still at ghost stories, but they are best of all at children's books. That's his final thought. Really disheartening to read. I'm not gonna lie. No. Roald Dahl himself, just in case you're like, but isn't he great? He was great. He not only was a fantastic writer, I mean, a truly amazing children's book writer. Yeah. He was also a spy. He was also in the Royal Air Force. He did a lot of cool, badass shit before he became a writer. If you want to see more on that, go watch the Drunk History episode of Roald Dahl as a spy, where Will Ferrell plays Roald Dahl.
I haven't seen that. That sounds so good.
It's great. But
also, Danny the Champion of the World by Roald Dahl was my favorite book when I was a kid.
If you've read that book, can you please let Max know? Because honestly,
nobody else read it.
Alex and I were like, what the hell is that? Like, she was so upset when we said that James and the Giant Peach was more famous than Danny and the Champion of the World.
Danny, the Champion of the World. And I didn't say it was more famous. I said it was better.
He also wrote The Gremlins. Anyway, so...
yeah. It's really good. It's about class disparity.
I mean...
and food stability. And if someone is rich and you hate them, you're allowed to pour sugar in their gas tank.
Yeah, you are. It's fine. Wait, hold on.
That literally happens in that book.
That's scary.
I love it. It makes a lot of sense that this was my favorite book as a kid.
So, with all that, I finished reading that. I was pissed. I was all fired up. I was like, the sexism just dripping through that. The condescension, the presenting himself as the end-all, be-all. In the fact that he sat in his living room and read a bunch of books right after the other. By the way, they did end up writing the pilot to his TV show. He chose a story written by a man that was about, like, the Catholic Church. And they filmed it. Then they did present it. But he realized his big mistake was... in the U.S. at the time, nobody was ever going to make a show where the first episode is kind of an indictment of the Catholic Church. And so it failed.
Especially in, the 60s? 50s?
I actually don't know when this was made. Hold on. This book was in 1983, so yeah, probably 60s or 70s. But then he gathered all his ghost stories, and so I'm going to tell you, with all of that, I was like, fuck you, Roald Dahl, and I chose from this book, Harry by Rosemary Timperley. Good. And I'm going to tell you that ghost story now.
Good.
Okay.
Himmy.
I'm doing it. So the short story starts, such ordinary things make me afraid. Sunshine, sharp shadows on grass, white roses, children with red hair, and the name, Harry. Such an ordinary name. So there once was a mother. Her name in the story is just Mrs. James. We don't know her first name. It could be Rosemary because it's written in first person. She lives in London, and she has a 5-year-old daughter named Christine. One day, Mrs. James sees her daughter playing alone in the garden, lying on her stomach, picking flowers, sitting in the sun. She describes how her dress is a little too short because she's growing out of it, how she's got these chubby little legs, like she's just the cutest little girl in the world. And she has bright red hair, it's shining in the sun. And she's gonna start... she says, I'm scared of children with red hair.
Yeah.
Me too.
In the sun, on the grass.
Get terrifying. Her out of there. Put something over her. Like a tarp.
Cover that child in a sheet.
Suddenly, she calls her daughter Chris. Chris looks up at the white rose bushes next to her, and she smiles. And she waits for a second, and she says, yes, I'm Christine. And then she waits again, and then she says, I live with my mommy and daddy. Yes, they are my real mommy and daddy. And so this woman is watching from the window of her house, and she's kind of overhearing this, and she's like, hey, Chris, why don't you come inside? And the little girl stays out for a second longer, and she's still talking. And she's like, Christine, inside now. And so she leaves, and she says goodbye, and she comes back. And Mrs. James is like, Christine, who are you talking to? And the little girl says, Harry. And Mrs. James says, who's Harry? And the little girl looks at her, and she goes, it's Harry. And that's it. And then she just goes on minding her own business. And Mrs. James is, like, immediately unnerved by this. This isn't, like, something where, she could be doing anything. Miss James gets this, like, weird feeling in the pit of her stomach. Like, something is immediately wrong. So, that night, Mrs. James goes to her husband, Jim, and she tells him what happened. They're, like, lying in bed, and she's like, the weirdest thing happened. Christine started talking to this random nobody named Harry. And it really looked like she was holding a conversation. And he laughs immediately. And he's like, it's really like normal for a kid to have an imaginary friend. Especially if you think about it, we just moved here. Like, we're in a new place. We don't have any other kids. She doesn't know any other kids her age. Like, yeah, she's making up an imaginary friend. That's all totally fine. Honestly, I was like, yeah, this is the type of kid to have one. Then, I'm going to read just parts of this thing. He says she's going to start school in 3 months, so once she makes other friends, everything's going to go back to normal anyway. Mrs. James said, it's just that I feel extra responsible for her, more so than if I were her real mother. Christina's adopted. That's the first clue into this. She's actually an adopted. They adopted her as an infant. Jim says, I know, but she's all right. Chris is fine. She's pretty, healthy, intelligent little girl. A credit to you. And to you. In fact, we're thoroughly nice parents, and so modest. And then they kind of laugh and they kiss, and they're like a cute family. Like, this is the opening of every horror movie.
We just moved into this new house.
Yeah.
You know, we needed to get out of the city, and we're really excited to be living in the middle of a field where we don't get cell phone service.
Yeah,
in an
100%.
old house that...
And then they're like
everyone's telling us to move out of this house.
With our adopted child, a redhead no less.
Who's talking to spirits in the bush. So, I love our home.
I love it. You know, the other day I saw Christina did the silliest thing. She spun her head around 180 degrees and threw up on me.
Like a top. It was hilarious.
So talented. The next morning, Christine began speaking to her imaginary friend Harry again. She's answering questions, she's listening to responses, and at one point she tells him, oh, I'm 5.5 years old. And then she listens, and then she gets annoyed, and she goes, I am not a baby. And so, like, this woman's watching this, and she's like, I hate this. Christine, come inside. It's time to have a snack. And she prepares her favorite snack. She's like, this little girl loves these specific cookies. So she's like, come inside, we're going to have these cookies. And Christine immediately is like, nope. And she's like, yes, come inside. And she's like, no, I'm playing with Harry. And she's like, it's time to come inside. Now, it's too much sun. It's too hot for you out there. We're going to go inside. And so the little girl stops and she goes, can Harry come inside with me? And Miss James immediately is like, no, he cannot.
Good.
Like, no horror movie mother has ever done. She's like, absolutely not. Harry has to stay outside. And so Christine is like, all right, well, Harry, I'm sorry you can't come in with me. And then she leaves, right? And so Mrs. James is like freaked out. Later on, she starts to notice that her house was normal beforehand, but now her house is like 10 degrees colder. Like, it's really cold. She says it's almost like, because it's so hot outside, but the house is almost like they have shade over the top of it. Like, it just is never warm, and it keeps getting colder as they go on.
I'm so jealous. Our house is so hot.
Our house is freezing all the time, except for now. Later, Miss James wants to go to the shops, but Christine is like, please let Harry come too. And she's like, I don't know what to do. Like, this little girl is now talking about him constantly. So she doesn't mention any of this to her husband because Jim already scoffed at her once, and now she's starting to feel like a little insecure about it. She's like, he's going to think I'm crazy again. I don't want to come off as this. This is a theme throughout this. Don't worry. But Harry is becoming more and more real, not just to Christine, but she's becoming real to Mrs. James as well. One Sunday, Jim hears Christine talking to Harry, and he laughs it off. He's like, she has such an overactive imagination. But Mrs. James is really concerned, and so she mentions to Jim that their daughter spoke different to Harry than she did to them. She literally is developing a Cockney accent.
Oh, no!
And Jim is like, we live in London now. All of the kids have a Cockney accent. And Mrs. James is like, Christine doesn't play with the other kids. We literally don't have any contact with anybody on the outside. Where is she getting, who is she picking up a Cockney accent from? Also, this is like,
who's turning my daughter British?
Also, I think I think this was a story that was written in 1955. So it's not even like they were watching a lot of TV or anything like that. Like, she's like, come on. Neither of us have Cockney accents. Who's this British kid? Jim responds with, the baker, the milkman, the dustman, the coalman, the window cleaner. Like, do you want any more? Like, we constantly have men only coming in and out of this house. And she's like, all right. So she has to, like, she's getting frustrated because Jim is laughing at her every step of the way. But she's also trying to tell him, like, you're at the office all day, every day. I'm here with our daughter, and it doesn't feel right anymore. And so he makes a joke about how fun it would be if one day they looked out the window and they actually saw Harry, and she freaks out. She's like, that would not be fun. And he's like, listen, she's going to start school soon, but what if you took her to like the child psychologist that we talked to before? And which is also 1955. This was kind of cool. But they also adopted her, so it might have been a different process.
Mm-hmm.
Mrs. James is like, is there something wrong with her? Like, do you think she's, like, mentally ill? And he's like, no, I definitely don't think that. But he says, this is the only good thing he's ever going to say, when we come across something that's a bit beyond us, it's as well to take professional advice.
Yeah.
Totally fair. Very surprising for 1950s.
Yeah. I mean, baseline, but
but 1950s wasn't even thought of. So the next day, Mrs. James takes her daughter to see the doctor. She left the 5-year-old in the waiting room, and she goes to Dr. Webster, and she basically in his office tells him all about Harry, all of her concerns. He nods, and eventually he's like, the details are a tiny bit unusual for how insistent she is that he's real, but it's not unusual for a lonely child to make up an imaginary friend, okay? And he also says, when she goes to school, Harry will most likely disappear. Like, this is kind of how it goes. It's not uncommon. But he says, let me talk to Christina alone, which is how you know this story is from the 50s. Because he's like, you wait in the waiting room. I'm going to take your 5-year-old into my office and close the door, and we're just going to have a talk. And I'm like, nope.
Nope.
So Christine is outside. Mrs. James goes to fetch her, and she's looking out the window at the doctor's garden. He has like a back garden. And she's smiling, and she's kind of like just making faces. And so Mrs. James is like, hey, Christine, the doctor wants to talk to you, and you remember him. He's the one that gave you your flu shot or whatever. Like, you had chicken pox. He's the one that helped you with chicken pox. And she's like, so he wants to talk to you. And then she looks at her, she goes, what are you looking at? And she's looking out. There's a white rose bushes out in this doctor's garden, right? Just like her white rose bushes. And she says, Harry's waiting. And she's still making faces at these rose bushes. And Mrs. James is like really unnerved by this. Like every time she says it, the name Harry just like sends a cold chill down her. She doesn't know why she feels so strongly about this, but she's like, okay, go see the doctor. So she waits, and she hears the muffled sound of their chat. She hears him making jokes. She hears Christine laugh, and she realizes Christine is talking so much. She's talking to the doctor like she has never talked to her. And when the doctor comes out, he's kind of laughing, and he's like, you know, you've got an imaginative little girl. And then he also says, listen, I think you should let Christine talk to you about Harry. He's like, you know, it sounds to me like every time she brings up Harry, you kind of shut her down. She's just having fun. I think you should let her talk about it. Why not? Like, she wants to talk to you. And Mrs. James also was like, she felt a little guilty. She's like, oh, she's like really talking to this doctor. Mm-hmm. And so she kind of feels bad about it. She has been shutting her down, and immediately like, Harry can't come here. And so the doctor is like trying to show her.
The Cullens don't come here.
The Cullens don't come here. Hi, Solomon. So he asks Christine some questions, right? He's like, so Christine, tell me about Harry. He's like, what's he like? And Christine says, oh, he's my brother. And yeah, mm-hmm. Mrs. James is like, you don't have a brother. And she's like, yeah, he's my brother. He told me he was. And the doctor's like, oh, so you have a brother. That's fun. What's he look like? And she's like, he has red hair just like me. And he's like, okay, cool. What else? And she's like, he's really tall. She's like, he's like, is he a little boy like your age? And she goes, no. He's like 14 years old, and he's really tall. She's like, Mommy, he's almost as tall as you are. And mm-hmm. the mom's like, okay. And she's like, he says he's tall for his age. And then she looks at him, and she's like, what does that mean? And so the mom's like, she doesn't even know what she's saying, but she's like, come on.
Yeah.
And so the doctor says, see you later, guys. Give my love to Harry. And she points out the window, and she says, he's there. He's been waiting for me. And the doctor laughs, and he says, quote, they're incorrigible, aren't they? I knew one poor mother whose children invented a whole tribe of imaginary natives whose rituals and taboos ruled the household. Perhaps you're lucky, Mrs. James. Which, I thought that was a really fun story, because I'm like, honestly, you are kind of lucky. Harry stays out in the garden.
There's a book that I got a hold of, and it is a little bit exploitative, which I don't love, but mm-hmm. It is called The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. And it is a set of stories about people who are dealing with, especially, like, manifested hallucinations and stuff like that, mm-hmm. And, like, the things that they see. So it's kind of, like, just, like, medical stories about their invented realities and everything like that.
That's
which
fun.
I'm not explaining that in a very, like, sensitive way, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
And some of them are wild.
Very fun to read.
Yeah, it's from the same era as like Sybil and stuff like that, where everyone was fascinated with mental illness.
And they
so.
did not know how to talk about it in a way that was even a little bit respectful or scientific. Yeah.
Yep.
It sounds like you explained it how they wrote it.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely not intended to be like, this is like a case study for like helping people. They were like, isn't it crazy how crazy these people are? Which is great. I mean, that shouldn't.
This
but,
doctor,
yeah,
this is exactly what he's saying. Like, it could be crazier. You're lucky. Believe it or not, Mrs. James does not feel lucky.
No.
So they walk home together from the doctor's, and Christine kind of runs ahead and is like doing her own thing, kind of, slightly ahead of her. And she looks up as if somebody is walking beside her, somebody tall. And she literally always looks up the same amount. Like, and this woman is like, this is just not normal. Mm-mm. This isn't like a child with imaginary friend. Like, I don't know. And so Mrs. James, for a brief second, suddenly sees a shadow on the pavement alongside Christine's shadow. It's a long, thin shadow, the shape of a boy.
Oh no, it's the Babadook.
It's the Babadook. So she runs up, she grabs Christine's hand, and she holds it the rest of the way home. After that, she never lets her daughter out of her sight, and that feeling of uneasiness is obviously growing, because now she's like, I think I'm seeing shit now. Like, this is getting kind of crazy. And after a while, her daughter begins to feel a little bit like a stranger to her. Like, she's starting to, disassociate from her daughter a tiny bit, and that's concerning. And eventually, she has this really dark question that's haunting her. Over and over, she finds herself thinking, who is this? Who is she? And that makes her feel terrible, like a terrible mom. So the day before Chris was supposed to go to school, this little girl starts to throw a tantrum. She had been so excited about school. She was counting down the days till she gets to go to school. The day before, she starts throwing a tantrum. She no longer wants to go. She screams and she cries and she's like, I'm not going. Harry says I can't go to school because he can't go with me and I won't go without him and I want to be with Harry. And Mrs. James loses it. She's been handling this on her own for months.
Yeah.
And so she eventually loses her temper and she yells at her daughter. She's like, stop it. Cut it out. And this little girl's throwing herself around. They get into a full-on screaming match where Mrs. James is fully screaming back at this 5-year-old. And she ends up hitting her really hard on the arm. And she's like, stop it. There's no Harry. He's not real. Cut it out. And Christine stops crying, immediately. It's almost like when little kids just and it's like the tears are sucked back in.
Yeah, it's like a switch flips.
Yeah, and she looks at her really coldly. And Mrs. James describes it as an adult look of just scorn. And she stares at her for a long time and she says, you don't love me. Harry loves me. Harry wants me. And he says I can go with him. So Mrs. James is like, stop talking about Harry. I cut it out. And then she realizes she hears her own voice in her head yelling at her. And she's like, oh my God, I'm just yelling at my kid. And so that makes her feel terrible. So she kneels down and she holds out her arms and she's like, okay, come here. And the daughter eventually goes to her and she starts just baby crying on her shoulder. And she's holding her and she's like, I love you, okay, Chris? I love you. Oh, yeah, okay, but I'm real. School is real. You need to go to school, okay? That's what we're going to do tomorrow. Please go to school. It'll make me really happy, and I think it'll make you really happy. Christine says, Harry will go away if I go to school. And the mom is like, well, you'll have other friends, okay? And so she cries like a baby. She just wants Harry. She's saying his name over and over again. And the mom is like, okay, you're tired. Let's take a nap. And so it's still light outside. So she puts her in bed and she goes to pull the curtain shut. And then down in the garden, she sees it again. That long, thin shadow. She just sees a boy's shadow on its own across those white rose bushes. And she fucking loses it. She opens that window and she just starts screaming, Harry! Harry! And it's like a flip switch. She feels like she's going crazy. So she starts screaming his name, Harry! Harry! She thinks that she sees a glimmer of red hair among the rose bushes, which are all white roses. So she suddenly sees this flash of red curls. And she's like, I know you're down there. You need to leave us alone. And then it's gone. The shadow's gone. The hair is gone. Everything. She's just yelling out at her garden like a crazy person.
Oh, no.
So that night, she tells Jim about their daughter's emotional outburst. She's like, this is out of control. And Jim is like, listen, she has first day of school jitters. She has a big day tomorrow. Of course she's having a temper tantrum. She's nervous. And you remember your feelings before the first day of school? This is scary. When he says, Harry will disappear once she's made friends, Mrs. James blurts out, Harry doesn't want her to go to school. And he immediately kind of laughs at her and is like, all right, So, like, now you believe in ghosts? Now you're telling me weird ghost stories as, like, an adult? Like, who's the adult here? And she's like, something is wrong. I think Harry's evil. I don't think it's fake. Like, she can't be making all of this up. And she finally confesses this. And then she voices her true thoughts. She says, he's just a boy who doesn't exist except for Christine. Who is Christine? Like, so she says that out loud. And he snaps at her. He's like, that's fucking awful. I can't believe you just said that. We told each other, we made a promise to Christine when we adopted her as an infant. That was our kid. That's our daughter. She is as real to us as if she was our own flesh and blood. Like, she is our daughter. How dare you think that? And also, we told ourselves that we weren't going to go snooping back into her past. It doesn't matter because she's with us. So, like, stop it. You're being a really bad mom. And so it's hard to, like, it's not that I wouldn't have the same reactions that he's having, but also, like, the theme in this story is that every time she tries to voice real concerns, her husband laughs at her.
Obviously you want to treat your kids as your kids.
Yeah, those are your kids.
But also, at the point when your kids are talking about, like, real... Like, they're like, oh, my imaginary friend is my brother, and, like, my brother who is imaginary is my family, and you are not. At that point, I would think it's fair to say, like...
Let's see if they have family. Like, yeah, it's just... Yeah, you're right, but he's pissed that she said this.
Yeah, this is also just straight up just the Babadook.
Yeah, it is. So Mrs. James quietly agrees, she apologizes, and then she's like, since he reacted like that, I'm not going to tell him what I have planned for tomorrow, after Christine goes to school. And so the next day... Christine doesn't talk to her as they walk to school. Like, she holds her hand, she walks her in. And then Mrs. James is, like, in tears by the time she's getting there. Because she's like, oh my god. It's the whole, I'm dropping my baby off at school. It's that feeling mixed in with, also, we got into a huge fight.
Yeah.
Also, she's not talking. So she's, like, about to burst into tears the whole time. But then they start seeing, like, other kids are starting to shuffle in. They all look nervous. Other parents are there. They're all wiping tears away. You know, it's kindergarten, first day of school. And so she kind of leans down and she's like, okay, Christine, you're going to have a really good day. And I'm going to be back here at 3 o'clock to pick you up, okay? So I'm going to see you at 3 o'clock. And the little girl's like, okay. And so she gives her a hug. And then this really pretty teacher dressed in white comes out and gathers all the kids. And the teacher looks at her and kind of smiles and is like, it's all right. Like, she's going to be in good hands. And so she feels better. She's like, okay, got a nice teacher. She's going to make friends. Okay. And she kind of wipes her tears away. And then she hops on a bus and she immediately goes to a building that she has been before. It is the building where the top floor belongs to the Greythorn Adoption Society. And she walks in, and even though she doesn't have an appointment, she speaks with the woman who handled their adoption process. Her name is Miss Cleaver.
Miss Cleaver.
Miss Cleaver. So Mrs. James explains, like, I know you don't normally divulge anything about a child's origins. Like, we signed a paper saying it was, like, basically a closed adoption thing. Like, they didn't give any information about where the kid came from. But she's like, and the woman's like, yep, that's the rules. And she's like, okay, but, like, let me tell you what's been happening. And she explains everything. She explains this boy. She explains the red hair, like, how tall he is. And she's like, and my daughter is insistent on this. And so the woman listens to this, and she gets really, like, she looks disturbed. And so she's like, all right, Mrs. James, I'm going to break my confidentiality agreement literally just this one time because you should probably know this. And she tells her the story. Christine was born to a family in a really bad part of London. There was a mom, a dad, and a son. They had lived in a one-room apartment at the top of an old house that, in Miss Cleaver's opinion, should have been condemned. Like, nobody should be living there. It's just a hovel. It was cramped and dirty. It was almost unbearable for 3 people. And then a baby was born, and it became, like, unlivable. The mother, this is a quote, was a neurotic creature and slatternly, unhappy, too fat. And I wrote, go fuck yourself, Miss Cleaver.
Like, mind your fucking business,
hey, Miss Cleaver, you fucking judgmental bitch. And she didn't want anything to do with the baby, clearly going through a lot herself. But the brother loved Christine. This kid held her, like, literally, this baby didn't have a bed. He literally held her while they slept. The mom wouldn't take care of her. He's the one that fed her. He's the one that played with her. He's the one that, like, did literally everything to make sure this kid stayed alive. And he was, like, obsessed with this little girl. Like, he was like, this is my baby sister. And I love her. He even would get in trouble because he would skip school to take care of her. And I'm like, obviously he had no choice. She's an infant. Like, nobody's taking care of her. It would be like, leaving a child alone while you go to school. You know, like, this kid's life sucked. The father had a warehouse job. He made barely enough for them to survive, and then they had a newborn baby, and of course everything went even more downhill. He also got sick eventually, and he was out of work for weeks, and they fired him. Like, so he couldn't do anything.
Unionize.
Yeah. Also, this is why we need to legalize abortion. We also
universal health care.
Yeah, you know, just a few things. He was also suffering from severe PTSD, and he had stayed in a nerve hospital, what they called a nerve hospital, for several months after he had returned from the war. So things were clearly heating up. This was a terrible situation and a ticking time bomb. One morning, a woman on the ground floor of this house saw something fall past her window and heard a thud on the ground. It was the boy. He was dead on the pavement with a broken neck. He was clutching his infant sister, who was blue, but later on was revived at the hospital. That was Christine. The woman obviously called the police. They broke into the apartment, and they found that it was full of gas. There was a note from the husband who was lying dead in the bed with his wife, and it read, "I can't go on. I'm going to kill them all. It's the only way." The police concluded he had sealed off all the doors and windows, turned on the gas while they were asleep to kill his whole family.
Jesus.
The boy must have, what they theorize happened is he woke up and wasn't able to open the door, and by that point was too weak and couldn't shout for help or anything like that. So the only thing he did was he ran back to his room, he plucked away at the sealant around the windows, and then jumped out the window with himself and his sister. And they were like, it's kind of a miracle that she wasn't dead from gas, but what they think happened, because she really had barely any gas at all in her lungs, what they think happened was the way he had been holding her was her head was down next to the bedclothes, and so it was kind of like blocking off her, like it acted like it's kind of like a mask, so like she was breathing in less gas than the rest of the family, but he was already almost dead by the time he jumped out the window.
Jesus.
Really depressing. Should have put a trigger warning before this. Oh well. So, already knowing the answer, Mrs. James asks the obvious question, which is,
where's he buried? Or
what's his name?
Oh.
Sorry.
I assumed that we had already established this.
What's his name? The boy's name was Harold Jones. Harry. So she gets the address of the house from Miss Cleaver. She takes another bus, and she visits the place where Harry died, right? She's like, I gotta see this for myself. Things are kind of heating up. She finds that the entire neighborhood is run down. It's terrible. It's really gray. But at this house where they had died, which, again, should have been condemned 5 years ago and is now just, like, completely, like, rotten, there is one small garden patch with white roses. It's the only green spot in the entire neighborhood. There's not even any trees. And so she goes to this, like, white rose bush, and she's, like, really disturbed by this, because obviously this isn't the first time these white roses have come up. And then an old woman kind of hobbles up to her and is like, what are you doing in my yard? And she realizes this is the woman who had been on the first floor, and she tells her the whole story again. She's like, yep, I was there, and I watched him fall, and she gives him some more information. She also says that leading up to this, Harry would sit with the baby near the roses every day. He would take her outside of that terrible house, he would sit next to the roses, and he would just, like, hang out with his baby sister for, like, hours. I know.
Poor ghost.
I know. And also this woman is like, I thought he was too close to that baby. And I'm like, hey, fuck you too, old woman.
What? Go fuck yourself.
As she's leaving, Mrs. James is starting to feel faint. Obviously, this has been a big day of a lot of information, but also it's like one of the hottest days in London, and she's been running around, hasn't been drinking water or anything like that. She's been just in the sun with the sun beating down on her head, and she is starting to feel a little bit like her legs. She's like, she thinks that she's just freaked out, and her legs feel like they're almost paralyzed. She's like having to kind of force herself to move. Then she hears a sound that like makes her blood stop. It's a clock chiming 3. It's 3 o'clock.
Oh, no.
And she's like, I don't even know where the fuck I am. So she has to get on a bus. She has to go back to her daughter's school. She took 2 buses to get here. When she finally gets to the school, she runs as fast as she can. Again, so hot already feeling like she's going to throw up. She gets to the classroom and she finds the young teachers in her classroom. She's gathering all the books together. And the teacher smiles at her and is like, hey, no, don't worry, you're fine. Christine's brother already called on her. Like, he already took her. They're probably home already. And the mom is like, I'm sorry, what? No. Who did? And she's like, yeah, this is a quote. The teacher says, it's so sweet to see a boy of that age so fond of his baby sister. Has your husband got red hair like the 2 children? Mrs. James runs through the streets screaming for Christine. She runs home screaming through their cold house, and eventually she stops screaming Christine's name, and she screams, "Harry, don't take her away. Come back. Harry, come back here." She runs to the garden, and she's near the white roses, and she has this really strange feeling like she's really close to Christine. Like, she has this overwhelming feeling that this little girl is here, but she can't see her. And eventually the roses dance before her eyes, and everything turns red. The whole world in front of her is just like this blood red color, and she faints in the garden. For weeks after this, she lies in bed with sunstroke, and this is a quote, "It turned to brain fever." I don't know what that even means. But she's obviously really sick, like she has overdid it. Jim and the police search and search for Christine in vain. The teacher gives a description of the boy who had picked her up from the school to the police, but of course nobody's ever found that matches this description. And the story ends with, "Years have passed, but I walk in fear. Such ordinary things make me afraid. Sunshine, sharp shadows on grass, white roses, children with red hair, and the name, Harry. Such an ordinary name."
Good God.
The end.
Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. Also, this started a whole genre of haunted children stories, really. Rosemary Timperley, born in 1920, died in 1988. She was a prolific writer of scary stories. She had 66 novels in 33 years, several hundred short stories. She's best remembered for her ghost stories, which appear in many anthologies. She's also edited several volumes of ghost stories. Harry has been made into several films. He's also inspired, this book inspired so many things. And I read an article by Michael S. Collins of Spooky Isles, which is like an Irish horror website. And he said, quote, "She's the greatest horror writer you've never heard of. Even though she was a prolific writer, her name isn't ever recognized among anybody. Like, Roald Dahl was a big fan of her, but, like, nobody else knew her name. And when she died, not a single newspaper published her obituary."
Jesus.
Yeah. So, Rosemary Timperley, guys, go give her her books some love. Read every single one, because, honestly, that's an iconic story.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
Yeah.
I don't even have words for how good that is. I'm spooked to shit.
We're a little spooked. I'm mad that Roald Dahl was so sexist.
Yeah.
It's not like a surprise, but it is a fucking bummer. So go read more horror stories by women.
Yeah, Roald Dahl, all of his books are kind of like guy books where it's about like little boys going on adventures and like their super cool dads or uncles or grandfathers. And like, you know, it's like Lord of the Rings, where there just aren't any female characters,
Many of the villains are also female adults.
Yeah. I'm thinking, like, specifically the witches. But...
Yeah, but also, like, James and the Giant Peach, it's his aunt and uncle. You know, like, there's a lot of, like, older women who are the villains and the scary parts. It's just a little bummer. I did forget, before we end, that Tumblr thread. Jack the Bard posted, "Just remember, there is no such thing as a fake geek girl. There are only fake geek boys. Science fiction was invented by a woman." And then people, of course, started to, like, how dare you? Isaac Asimov made this. And so it says, "Mary Shelley was the first to make use of a new finding of science, which she advanced further to a logical extreme, and it is that which makes Frankenstein the first true science fiction story." Asimov wrote this. He said Mary Shelley's the one that invented science fiction stories. It also says, if you want to push it back even further, Margaret Cavendish, the Duchess of Newcastle, 1623 to 1673, wrote The Blazing World in 1666 about a young woman who discovers a utopian world that can only be accessed via the North Pole, oft credited as one of the first sci-fi novels. Even before Mary Shelley, there was another woman who was already writing sci-fi. Women have always been at the forefront of literature. The first novel, which what we would consider a novel in modern terms, was written by a woman, Lady Muraskai's The Tale of Genji, in the early 1000s. The first autobiography ever written in English is also attributed to a woman, the Book of Marjorie Kemp, in 1430s. So yeah.
Women have been pioneering writing forever. There was some guy on Twitter who someone made the point that Mary Shelley is like one of
the mother of science fiction.
Yeah. And this guy was like, okay, well, I just feel like I could have written Frankenstein. And someone was like, what do you mean you could have written Frankenstein? And he's like, I'm just saying if nobody had written Frankenstein and like I was born today, I could write Frankenstein. And they're like, okay.
What?
So you're saying that you could go into the field of horror, having removed from history one of the things that made horror and sci-fi a big thing, and then all of the things that branched off of that and created like a new media format of like horror, of sci-fi, and everything like that. After having reaped the benefits of a century and a half of sci-fi and horror, you could write the first book. Having like all of the things that have come off of it, you could take all of the pale imitations and come up with the same thing that someone did 150 years ago. That's super impressive, dude. Yeah, just like, it's not a brag to be like, I could write something that someone wrote all that time ago.
Also, like, what a fucking weird thing to say. Like, I could have done that. Okay, but you didn't.
But you didn't.
You didn't, and the reason why you think you could do that is because you read Frankenstein.
Yeah.
like, because you've seen the movie, probably. Like, dude, that's not a fucking brag.
Yeah.
The only reason why you think that at all is because you've read her book.
Yeah. It's absolutely buck wild that men on the internet specifically are like, I understand that someone's already done this and it was like a revelation, but I just feel like I could do that.
It's like, all right, you fucking idiot. I also think this is what really bugged me about Roald Dahl, is he specifically was like, it's crazy because women aren't as good at what it sounds like he's saying, which again, you could read this anyway. The way I interpreted this, what upset me, is he's like, it's crazy that women aren't as good of painters, or they're not as good as sculpting, and they're just not as good as artists, which is why they aren't as famous. And it's like, women have been historically blocked from every single field. Even if they started the fucking field, they have then been blocked out by men. Yep. Historically. You can count every single thing that we do, and women have historically been blocked out of it. To the point where, I mean, look at how many women had to write under pen names, male pen names.
Yep.
We don't even know half of the people that wrote these books. And Roald Dahl is like, it's crazy because women just weren't as good. And it's like, fuck you.
Also, you're friends with Alfred Knopf, so like, you have to acknowledge your privilege at that point, that you have an into the publishing industry.
The reason why he started writing was because the really famous novelist C.S. Forester was like, hey, I like your stories about the Royal Air Force. Maybe you should publish some books. He already had ins by the time he was writing about his time in the military.
I just, like, no.
You don't recognize your privilege.
Women just aren't
gender or status
that opportunity. Yeah,
it doesn't happen. And Mary Shelley was also coming from a place of privilege. The reason why we know Frankenstein is because she was coming from a place of privilege. She was surrounded by authors, and like, it wouldn't have happened if it was any other woman.
Yeah,
it's a bummer. It feels like a fucking slap in the face to read this from Roald Dahl. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was furious reading this.
That's a huge bummer.
Yeah.
Danny the Champion of the World is really good, though. So.
Listen, and that's not
one thing away.
That doesn't diminish how much I fucking love Roald Dahl's writing. I like his life story. I'm bummed out that he was a huge sexist, but it's not surprising.
Yeah.
So I think that, honestly, guys, this week, pick up a book, a horror story, or a science fiction novel by a woman. I think that's what we should be doing this week.
That's your homework.
You have homework. And we will be following up.
We also want a 5-page book report submitted to our email address, which is sortofthestory@gmail.com. It is going to be due at the end of May, so make sure to get that to us.
This is coming out at the end of May.
Well,
it's due tomorrow. Start writing! All right, Max, I said we were going to end, and then we just went on a long tangent. But feminism.
Yeah.
Guys, we love you.
Yeah.
We know that things are shitty for women at the moment. Let's all scream into the sun together and read some badass horror books by women.
Yeah, anyways, if a man ever fucks with you, you can just...
beat them with a stick!
Yeah, throttle them and drag them back down to hell.
Yeah! Oh, shit!
Don't do that. We can't advocate for that legally on this podcast, but...
do it. Okay. Goodbye!
Bye.
A quick second test.
My body is rotting, and I'm still inside. Welcome back to another exciting episode of My Body is Rotting, and I'm Still Inside. I'm Max, and my body is rotting, and I'm still inside.
This is NPR.